Hey everybody, welcome back to yet another episode of the Nostalgically Hip podcast. I'm Andy.
And I'm Ryan.
And tonight, we're going to talk about some old school 1980s era Reagan-esque drugs.
Nancy Regan-esque.
Nancy, oh yeah.
Type drugs.
Oh yes.
Saying no to those drugs.
Just say no, motherfucker.
Yeah, saying no.
So, what do you got? I know this was a topic that you came up with, and it's very interesting. I like it. Brought back a lot of memories, a lot of nostalgia, if you will.
Yeah, because we grew up with that, right? I mean, we
sure.
Totally, it was like dominated at least my childhood, dude.
Just say no.
Just say no, and it was everywhere, right? And you never did say no, right? I know. Did you?
No,
I
did. I said no for many years.
Because it was a thing, man. It was cool to just say no, right?
I guess. I mean, you know, I got to be honest, man. I was, I didn't need a D.A.R.E program. I didn't need Nancy Regan to tell me to say no, because I knew from as far as I can remember that what I wanted to do was go in the military, right? Mm-hmm. It's just something that I'd known forever, and I knew that you can't go in the military if you're on drugs, mm-hmm. right? Or if you've taken drugs, they'll test you and all that stuff. So I was committed from an early age to just say no, and, but on my own accord, not.
Yeah. And that's a good point. I was the same way. Nancy Regan really didn't have anything to do with me saying no. It was my brother. Mm. You know, maybe she had a small influence, but, you know, I think I've told you this story where I came home from school. I was like third grade maybe, and I found a can of Key. Remember Key chewing tobacco back in the day?
I remember Key.
Skull Key or something like that. But I found some, and I put it in my lip. I was chewing. I thought it was cool. And I came home. I got a buzz. Remember you get that buzz off that first dip? And
oh yeah.
So my brother was outside working. He's 10 years older than me, so I was probably at that time he's probably 16. He's working on his car, so I know he had a license. Mm. And he goes, oh, "Come here real quick," because he knew something was up. Because I was kind of like, you know, freaking walking around, and he goes, "What are you doing?" And I go, and I pulled out the can of chew. I showed it to him, and he goes, he just laughed, and I go, what? And he goes, "I thought you were on drugs." He goes, "That's how you were acting." And I go, "No, dude." I go, "I just this." And he goes, "Okay." He goes, "Good." He goes, "Because if I ever catch you doing drugs," he goes, I'm gonna break your legs." And I go, "Okay." Nice. And he goes, "And you're gonna have to crawl home because you're gonna need to go to the hospital, and you're gonna have to crawl home to Dad, and Dad's gonna, you know, say, 'What happened?' You're gonna say, 'Brad broke my legs.'" Mm-hmm. That's my brother's name. And he goes, he's going to go, "Why?" And you're going to have to tell him, and then Dad's going to break your arms. So I was always like petrified, like, okay, well, that's a no-no in this family.
That's a great motivator.
Yeah. And then Nancy came along, and there was a few songs, and which, by the way, I don't think I knew that, dude. Like, I don't think I knew that.
I didn't either.
There was a song, and so.
Couple.
Yeah. So what was the one? It's Stop the Madness.
Stop the Madness. Speaking of stopping the madness, let's check out a video.
Yeah. Okay, so and before, I haven't seen it yet, so this is going to be like, I sent this to you because I couldn't believe.
Right.
But this is
this is something crazy that I thought I knew a lot about the 80s, but I didn't know about this one.
LaToya Jackson, right? So this is a different one though. This is called no, this is it. This is the
right. We'll do the LaToya in a minute. Yeah. It's like a Live Aid, but for fucking drugs.
Right.
Against drugs, which is kind of ironic. But anyway.
I think I started drinking when I was 14, and I'm still drinking.
Yeah.
You're looking at jail time anywhere from a year to 25 to 30. When it comes to drugs, friendship stuff. It's a temptation. It's the big fruit.
Oh, and they're down and dirty too. It's like the dirty stuff. You're like a crack pipe freebasing.
Crack
this
is
guy's
whack.
playing a horn.
This guy blows. Oh yeah, get it, man. Do that line. I know this isn't supposed to be funny, but
it's funny as hell because so right now, for those just listening, it's hardcore drug use.
Yeah.
They're
big time.
They're doing lines, they're injecting, and then in between that, you've got a guy playing a trumpet.
Trumpet, yeah.
Like he just gets thrown into the picture throwing a trumpet.
I don't understand that.
He's just happy as hell, and the rest of these people ruining their lives.
Right. Man, I must have went. Oh, okay, never mind. I'll say it. So we got New Edition.
Is that New Edition?
That's New
Okay.
Edition. Oh, that's that one guy. I have no idea who it is.
Who the hell is this guy? He probably doesn't even know who he is.
Right.
Who's this?
I'm not sure who that is. It almost looks like a young Whitney Houston.
So what we can get from this right now is Bruce Springsteen wasn't going on this video.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Lionel Richie staying out.
Oh, there's Latoya.
There's Latoya.
So this is like a C-list celebrities
This
version.
is like, we hear you're not busy.
Right. Oh, you got the Hoff in it.
Hasselhoff.
Oh, yeah. All right. Now it's a D-list.
Wow. Is it D-list still? Yeah, Knight Rider. But he was probably done with Knight Rider, right?
Yeah. And then he went on that big European Germany tour. And,
Such a good story behind that.
oh, shit,
wow.
son.
Who's that?
Oh, yeah, that's that guy, man. He was, he sang in that one band.
Oh, wow. Oh, Stacey Kingston. He was a
Wasn't he a cokehead?
yeah, big time,
Yeah.
right? This guy, or was he at this time?
I don't know.
He found out later.
Yeah, I think he hit it for a long time.
So that's Lyle Alzado, dude. So, yeah, dude, I'm pretty sure that's, I think Boo Boo Lucia.
That is Whitney
Is that
Houston.
Whitney Houston?
Wow. Well, you know,
That's the dude from, like, Firestarter. Oh, Hollow Out. Is that, or at least Oat.
yeah, one of them.
Oat's like, I'm not popular. I got time.
This is so crazy, man.
Yeah, that's that dude. Yeah. So the guy from Breaking is in it. And I don't think he ever had more than 2 lines in Breaking.
I don't
He just
think
was
so.
a real good dancer.
Yeah.
I think every now and again he'd go far out, you know.
That's the only reason he was hired.
Yeah, he's getting a bigger role in this video than he had in Breaking.
No doubt.
And there's a guy from Simon & Simon.
It's Casey.
That looked like pirated video, by the way, of Casey. Like, he didn't know that was in there.
No clue. He thought he was doing a Scooby-Doo cartoon.
Yeah, there's Nancy.
Yeah. Never. Zoinks. Like, what do you mean I'm in a drug-free movie,
Hey,
Scoob?
look at that. Schwarzenegger, dude.
Yeah. Everybody wear your hard hat.
So, Hamill's in this.
This was cheesy for the 80s.
Yeah, because I think we would have been making fun of this in the 80s, right?
yeah.
For sure.
Oh, yeah. Well, it shows you how great it was. I never even heard of this before.
Yeah.
What a young Whitney Houston, too, man.
And this, didn't she die of drugs?
Yeah. Crack is
They
whack.
didn't say no.
No, they didn't say no.
So
They might-
what were we saying no?
They might have said no for a while.
For a while?
But everybody
And then
keeps
since
saying.
he died, and they're like, well, she's not around.
Well, you know, Whitney got hooked up with good old Bobby Brown, and that was it. And that
Hey,
shit.
Bobby said, let me tell you how to not say no.
Bobby ruined
you
that
ain't
shit.
saying no to my ass.
That's right. Bobby ruined that shit. I told you my Bobby Brown story, right?
No.
How I met him?
No. Was it at a gay party?
No, not that time.
No, there's nothing wrong
Wait,
with
what? Right. Or anything right with it. But so every Sunday in Hawaii in the early 90s, down at this, I guess it was like a bar restaurant type thing called the Shorebird. They had Hawaiian Tropic models, and they did a bikini show every Sunday. So we went down there for that. My buddy named Tim, who was this probably 120 pounds, soaking fucking wet with a pack on, and this huge head. We called him Bulkhead, but he was the cockiest son of a bitch you ever met, man. So we go take a leak, and lo and behold, guess who's in there? Bobby Brown with his bodyguards. And this dude, Tim, starts talking shit. He starts talking shit about Whitney. What's up with Whitney? Why you turning her crackhead? Blah, blah, blah.
Oh, so it was later on.
Oh, yeah,
Like
yeah.
after he corrupted her.
So his bodyguard picks him up, pins him against the wall above the urinals while the other bodyguard brings Bobby Brown out. And I'm just sitting there laughing the whole fucking time. I'm like, this You can't make this shit up, man. In fact, he looked if they ever did a live action movie of Beavis and Butthead, he would be Beavis.
So the head and all.
Oh yeah.
So like that popsicle.
Oh yeah. That's why we called him Bulkhead, you know. But to have his fucking scrawny body and his big ass head pinned against the urinals, it was classic. Anyway, so
that was your
that's my Bobby Brown. Yeah, Bobby Brown story.
Man, yeah, I don't have any Bobby Brown stories.
Yeah, you're not missing nothing.
Yeah. Is he alive?
He's alive.
Is
Hey,
he?
yeah.
That's something, right?
Yeah.
I mean, here he is.
He's like a cockroach, man. You can't kill that motherfucker off.
He's still gonna be around. We'll all be gone. Bobby's still here.
Crack is whack, motherfucker.
No, so we got to talk about this because that was pretty prominent. I think I read something where it started in the 80s, right? Early 81. And she went to, God, what the hell did I read? I got to look this up.
Ooh, Whitney or?
Not Whitney, no.
Oh, Nancy.
Nancy Regan started all this. So it started in 1980. And this is great, right? The Just Say No slogan was created by Robert Cox and David Cantor. They were advertising executives at the New York Times office in Needham, Harper, and Steers. But anyhow,
bless you.
Right? But
you know a law firm I like to go to.
Hold on, listen to this. So she asked, this is how the name, so why did you need the marketing executives to come up with the name? Because she was asked by a schoolgirl when she was at some book reading thing or something. And the girl says, well, how do I tell people, my peers that push drugs on me that I don't want to do drugs? And Nancy says, just say no. And then she hires a marketing executives and they say, oh yeah, man, that makes sense. It makes sense, because you got to copyright that and trademark it. They're saying that they got the credit for it. Neither here nor there. Like that's not
maybe they did. Maybe that's what they told her to.
Though, right? Like they just say no. Is that
I don't know.
Did they come up with have a Coke and a smile? Did they?
Beats me.
I don't know. But
I'm sure. I mean, if you got 3 names in the organization, they're probably a pretty legit organization.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm sure they were. And they probably had a in with Nancy,
Oh, yeah.
Pharmaceuticals got it in with Joe.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I don't know what all they came up with, but hard for me to believe, although she was an intelligent woman, but she was old. Hard for me to believe she came up with that on the spot like that at a school. I mean,
what are you gonna? It's not like a clever. What do you mean on the spot? It's. What do you say? What do you say if I can't eat any more hamburgers, Ryan? I just say you don't want any more hamburgers, Andy.
What I'm saying is that I think nothing in Washington is by happenstance. Everything is planned down to
So you think she said, I got.
Yeah.
We're gonna set this up, and that's a little bit gonna ask, and then it's like a decade-long thing, right?
Yeah. Well, actually, longer than that, really, because there was even I think they tried to bring it back in the 2000s, the D.A.R.E program.
Mm-hmm. Wonder how that went.
Tremendous failure. Tremendous failure.
Because everybody's on drugs now.
Yeah, well, it's like, hey, don't do drugs. What's the first thing? I'll give you a perfect example, right? Every time we were floating, going from one place to another, and we're going to pull into a Liberty port, they get up there, they give what's called the safety brief, right? All right, gents, here's what you avoid. You're not going to go here. This place are off limits. Where do you think the first fucking place that we went was?
Those places.
Yeah. Absolutely.
What can I get for $5?
Right? Anything. But so you're telling these kids not to do something, and most kids are going to be like, well, fuck, there's got to be a good reason why. Let's try it out,
But this worked, right? I mean, it says that it worked. It cleaned up. Then they say they don't know because D.A.R.E was coming along, and then maybe part of it was Reagan's, because he had that strict incarcerating, right?
God,
he just threw him, if he looked at drugs, Reagan was like, throw him in jail.
Well, there was a lot of shady shit going on back then, man. There was, I forget what bill it was, but there was a bill passed by the Reagan administration that if you had property and you were growing marijuana, just marijuana, we're not even talking any other drugs, right? The government could seize your house, could seize all of your property. And there's story after story of people. For example, there was this one couple that was a law-abiding couple, and their son had one plant that was growing out, and this is in Hawaii, and I think it was Maui. one plant, the government came in. This is when, I don't know if I can say this or not, but.
Redacted.
Well, I won't say it because I don't know. I'd sign NDAs and I don't know if that shit's still. But what I can say is that the government was heavily involved with military troops because Reagan came in and he completely got rid of the Posse Comitatus Act, which was the act that military members cannot conduct any type of operation on American soil. So he got rid of that. And then they were using military members to go in and eradicate these farms and these plants. And they would also have military accompanied by some of the police forces.
What was that whole Kiki Camarino thing, right? Did you see that documentary?
No,
well, it's
I
in
don't think
Narcos,
so.
but there's a great documentary on Amazon. And
Okay.
it literally shows like how he took the pictures and they were going out and taking pictures in Mexico and he happened to take the wrong picture, basically, is what happened. I think this is during the Cuban Missile Crisis deal or whatever the hell that was. And I think he got the wrong picture. And like, what'd you get on that picture? And he's like, just some drugs.
Right?
You know, next thing you know, he's getting drills to the kneecap and shit. But it's a great documentary. It was on Amazon. I think it's called Kiki Camarino or whatever his name was. And it's like just a documentary on him. But dude, it shows you. And I probably shouldn't say this either because I think I might have signed a non-disclosure agreement. I'm just kidding. I won't say it because I'll let you finish it. I don't want to ruin it.
Sure.
Just to get it started. But it was pretty. I mean, back in the day, Reagan was after the drugs, right?
Oh yeah,
100%. I think that's when the Narcos takes place, and he was trying to fight them and keep them over there and get them stop the drug usage over there. And then Nancy's back at home making fucking videos.
I don't know if we want to go down this road on this podcast. I think it's something we could save for the next. But yeah, it was definitely involved with the Sandinistas, you know, and.
Yeah,
Ollie North.
Deep.
Yeah, okay.
I see what you're saying.
All right.
But I wanted to.
But it was it's like his mission in life, you know, to
push that. Well, he had other missions, right?
Right. Well, there you go again.
That's a good impersonation. You know, I gotta look. Put my glasses on here, dude. I need some eye drugs.
You need something.
Yeah. Okay. So she totaled. Traveling around the world, like she's like at this time like Van Halen. She traveled 250,000 miles. She was reaching, just talking to people, and then she was. I thought this was funny, and the people that were in this position probably won't, but I think it's funny. That's all that matters. Nancy Reagan visited drug rehabilitation centers and abuse prevention programs. Too late.
Right at that point.
Too late.
Yeah, you definitely missed the mark on that one, Nancy.
Right. Yeah. There was a 2-hour PBS documentary on drug abuse, right? And then the campaign phrase, just say no, made its way into popular American culture on series such as Different Strokes, which I watched all the time.
Hell yeah. What you talking about,
Punky
Willis?
Brewster and
Punky Brewster.
I watched that all the time too.
I do. I don't like to admit it, but
yeah, so it was on. It's centered like episodes centered. Now I gotta go watch those.
Well, didn't she do a guest appearance in one episode of Different Strokes? I'm pretty sure she did.
Her hair,
yeah,
that weird. Even as a kid, I remember going.
Typical grandma.
Freaking hair.
Typical grandma.
It was like faded up, but big faded up. It looked like
I'm not sure what it was. Like a reverse mushroom or some shit. You know?
Yeah, it's crazy.
But I don't know, man. I have to commend her for taking a stand on something. Our last, 3 first ladies and then 4, if you want to count Clinton, because she had her own agenda. But our last 3, for sure, first ladies haven't really done shit. No, I mean, Michelle Obama had her school lunch program, which was an utter failure.
That was a joke, dude. So I would take my kids to school. I'd put a freaking nutty Butterfinger or something in their lunch, and they would come over and tell my kids to tell me that you couldn't have that. They couldn't have that in school, and it was all because of her. Yeah, so I couldn't feed my kid. I could feed them at home, but I couldn't feed them in there. And I thought, isn't she kind of overweight anyways, right? Like, I've never looked like Michelle Obama a day in my life.
Well, he's pretty, I'd say he's pretty in shape. He's kind of bulky.
I got that. Danny Glover, right? Yeah. I always said, yeah, but we won't even get into this. But I always figured if Danny, when they got out of the White House, Danny Glover would start making movies again.
You would think.
I think I hit that.
I think you did mention that. Yeah. But yeah, so it's a very valid point, man. Where are we at? I mean, okay, so maybe she was a little bit overzealous with some of it. Maybe it was a lot of down your throat, but at least she took a stance on something.
Yeah, well, here's another funny thing.
I like to
I
laugh.
think this shit's funny too. Right, so the video that we just watched, hopefully we're going to insert that song in.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So people can hear this.
It's in there.
If you haven't heard this, you've got to hear it. If you haven't seen the video, you've got to see the video. But that featured Stacy Keach, which we said, right?
Right.
He was arrested and jailed in possession of cocaine in 1984.
Attaboy.
Right? So they had that. So that's like having a bunch of houses burned down in the neighborhood, and you like you make a video about don't burn houses, and
right. You're playing with matches.
Yeah, you get like a freaking arson to come in. Like I used to burn houses. I mean,
now
that's right.
Now it's just buildings.
Now it's just don't burn houses. And so he's arrested in '84 for that. Immediately prior to release of the video to American high school. So is that before, right? Prior to?
Had to have been.
So he's arrested like right before that shit goes into high schools. Like, oh, he's in jail now.
Right.
You can't even like blur his face out because they probably didn't have the technology. Like, we'd love to blur this out, but we don't have it.
Mm-hmm.
But he's in jail.
Well, let's face it, man. How many people have really seen that? I didn't even know existed.
No, but they probably haven't even seen it.
They probably didn't know they were in it.
It's like our podcast. No one's seen it.
Right. Well.
So that's hilarious, right? I mean, this is unbelievable. The video features an appearance from the Los Angeles, so that was Lyle Alzado.
Oh, yeah.
He would later admit to taking steroids and human growth hormone since 1969 in a July 8th, 1991 article he wrote for Sports Illustrated. Alzado would die from cancer, brain lymphoma, which I think, man, didn't they actually do like an after-school special about Lyle Alzado back in the day there? So,
I wouldn't doubt it, yeah.
So, like, you've pulled the worst of the worst. You said...
What about LaToya Jackson? Was she ever caught up in drugs?
I don't know. Can we look that up?
I'm sure you could.
But she became the spokesperson for the campaign in '87 and recorded the song titled "Just Say No." Right, so we've got that.
Well, that's an incredible segue since you brought that up.
Go ahead and play that, and I'm going to look up because something tells me
she probably was.
Something tells me that she died of a drug overdose. I don't know.
I think she's still alive.
I'm going to look it up.
She probably died of plastic surgery.
Oh, I like this. Oh, wow. Just Say No. What do you think this song is?
It's so catchy, man. It's probably LaToya Jackson.
LaToya Jackson? She said you're going to die?
Awful. People are dying. What are they dying for?
People are dying. Oh, wow. So I'm punching in LaToya Jackson, and I punched in D, and up pops drug addiction. So I'm going to go further while we're listening to this song. It's a wonderful song.
Shocking. Great song, LaToya. Apparently you don't know how to say no.
Well, hold on. We shouldn't get ahead, because maybe... It says Jermaine.
Jermaine stepped easy.
Oh, and then she states that MJ, and I guess this is Michael Jackson, was the drug addict. See, now I know they didn't like each other, right?
Right. They had issues. Well, but everybody knows Michael Jackson was a drug addict. It just wasn't your typical drugs. He was addicted to prescription.
He was addicted to other things, too.
Propofol and cock and... shit, I hate it when that happens.
Prepubescent. Oh, no. So she's talking about... Yeah, this makes it even better. So she's telling about Michael Jackson's... He's got a drug abuse problem. And she's going to talk about that now, how he always had him. And that just reeks to me like... He had a lot of hits. A lot more than me. But he had a drug problem.
Yeah.
It's not taking a drug problem with that many hits.
That's not jealousy at all.
Not jealousy.
No. Not at all. Not even a little.
I mean, could have been one, though. Did it ever reach the top 40?
I don't think it reached top anything.
Top anything?
I don't think it reached the top shelf.
Listen to the guitarist even sounds bored.
Oh, yeah. I can't believe I got paid to fucking be on this gig.
Yeah, dude. Wow.
Although I gotta say, she was pretty easy on the eyes back then.
Yeah.
Until she had all her damn plastic surgery.
Did she do that too?
Oh, God, man. Yeah. It was... You should pull up a modern picture. I'll throw up a modern picture of her in the podcast later, but yeah, just way too much plastic, dude.
Did you see Kenny Rogers at the end of his life?
Oh, yeah.
I always called him the guy formerly known as Kenny Rogers.
Yeah, that was
anything like
creepy looking,
Yeah.
man. I don't know
He
why.
had 2 lifetimes, right? He had Kenny Rogers and he had that guy
Right.
that we seen with his face
That-
falling off.
The guy from Mars, I think. I don't know. He'd look like an alien.
Pumpkin it.
Yeah, it was so weird, man.
Kenny Rogers.
I too.
You think that he said no?
Oh, no.
He did drugs?
I'm sure he was probably a big pothead.
I'm just saying no.
No. Well, I mean, that's like goes against the music industry's mantra, you know?
Just say no.
Sex, drugs, and rock and roll, baby.
Yeah.
I guarantee nobody in Motley Crue said no.
Have we figured out what the name of the song is yet?
No. Can you look it up? Because that's really bothering me. Anyway, that's about, I'm just going to say no to that fucking song because I've had it. Anyway, interesting.
And how long was that song?
2. Too fucking long.
Too long.
I don't, again, I commend you, LaToya, but all that talent you've got in your bones, you couldn't have come up with something better. That was horrid.
Yeah. Yeah, that's bad. You think she wrote that?
She probably could have.
Wait a second. Stop. Just think if she says, I can't take this on right now.
Uh,
And she had to hire someone to write that for her.
ooh.
And the guy's like, well, I don't have the time either. Because obviously he didn't.
I'm thinking she probably should have got paid for that.
Right? I mean,
right?
I could write that song. I could write it right now.
Just say no.
Yeah.
When you're lighting
If
up.
you did write it, do you tell anybody about it? Do you
No.
take the, yeah, you
No.
don't.
I'll give full credit to her.
Yeah, because you can't even put that on your resume, right? Like,
Nor
what have
would
you
I
done?
want to.
And you say, well,
I wrote a song. Nothing. I'm sorry, I got nothing.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so that ushered in the whole D.A.R.E. And which I wanted to bring up.
Well, so did Nancy?
Nancy,
okay.
that was during her time period, but it started in L.A., started in Los Angeles with, what was the chief of police that was out there during the whole OJ thing?
Furman.
No, that was a detective, but it was anyway, it doesn't matter. It's the chief of police that started it, the
Furman was a
initiative.
really good non-racist police officer.
Right. So anyway, the D.A.R.E. program was great in theory, and of course they got their mascot, which was, I don't know if you know the name. Do you know the name of the mascot?
The D.A.R.E. mascot?
Yeah. No. Darren the Lion.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
D.A.R.E.
So
I get it.
every time the government gets involved in a project like this and they come up with their mascots,
They got to control it, take it over.
they're fucking perverted, man.
Really?
Hear me out. Yeah. Darren the Lion was pantsless. He had a shirt.
Get a shirt.
Had big mane and
Did he have
everything.
big
No
collar?
pants. I don't know. Maybe he was a.
That would be perverted.
That
Like
would
he
be.
comes out, he's like hung like a
Right?
freaking horse.
Well, it was his
swinging
tail.
around.
It was his
And
tail.
he's talking about drugs, but no one's listening
But-
because they can't take their eyes off the
But
freaking
check this out.
slab swinging.
I'm gonna give you another example. McGruff the crime dog. What did he wear? You remember?
I never liked
That
prick.
fucking pervert was in a trench coat going to schools. Tell me that shit ain't fucking perverted,
That's crazy.
right? Hey kids, take a bite out of
Was
this.
he like a detective?
Yeah.
So
McGruff
was
the
he a
crime dog.
detective or He was.
He was the crime dog. McGruff the crime
Just
dog.
like
Help take a bite out of crime.
Dick Tracy wore a trench coat, but he was a detective, right?
Yeah, he was a dick.
Was it-
Private dick.
Sure was.
But it just goes to show you, man. And the government, you could give the government, you could essentially take the government, put it in a round padded room, strip it down naked, give it 2 steel ball bearings, and fuck one up and lose the other one
Mhm.
every time. Over $2 billion, I think, was taken out of our tax money in 1 year alone for the D.A.R.E. program. And I think it was I don't remember what year it came about, but it was definitely early 80s. $2 billion in the early 80s, man.
Do you think this is probably the stupidest question, but do you think all that money went to?
Fuck no, man. Hell no. Are you
What do you
kidding
think
me?
they were doing with that money?
Oh, that shit went to black projects. It went to other
Do you
probably
think there were some people
lining.
driving some
Oh yeah,
Mercedes around, and
I think Nancy
flying helicopters?
Pelosi. That's where she got her first in looking into insider trading.
Yeah.
Was with some of that D.A.R.E money.
You know, I don't want to go on this. You know what I heard the other day? Her husband picks better stocks than Warren Buffett.
I don't doubt it.
Right? I don't want to get off on that, but I thought that's one of those things that'll stick with me forever. Like if someone says, tells you something, you go, I'll never forget that.
Right up until the point where he got hit in the head with a hammer.
Right? Yeah, that was brutal. But let's not get on that. Let's get back to Nancy.
Yeah, Nancy.
So, what do you remember about Nancy? Because Reagan was our guy, right? We grew up Reagan and her, and I just remember that hair.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen her since, but I remember the hair.
What I remember the most about her was, of course, I was a younger kid at the time, thinking she was really old.
Mm-hmm.
And she wore like grandma clothes to me. That's all I could focus on, man.
Yeah, and like that freaking vinyl purse that you see him carrying around, with big high platform vinyl shoes with the buckles on them.
But I thought at the same time that she was elegant in her own way. She was almost seemed like one of the last of the classy first ladies. I'll take that back.
Do you like Bush?
Yeah, I take that back. But that was right in succession. Now, which one are you talking about? You talking
I'm
about
talking about the second Bush.
Laura?
Laura.
Yeah, she was pretty classy too.
She was classy. I thought she was pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought she could have done better.
Yeah.
I know he was president and everything like that, but I think
but he was a partying fool when he was younger, man. You know what I'm saying? He was probably the life of the fucking party, you know?
Yeah, she still could have done better.
But there you go. George Bush was also a cokehead.
Yeah. He liked to drink, right?
He didn't say no.
Yeah, then he turned to God, right? And got all so he was doing this shit.
Yeah. Everybody was doing it in the 80s, man. And that's why the whole campaign came out. Mm-hmm. Because everybody was doing it.
Yeah, well, I remember they said about Coke, right? Wasn't there the thing? They were like, this shit's great. It's cutting edge. You can take it all the time. If you need to get something done, take it. You don't need to sleep.
Right.
So they thought that was a good idea. And it's not addictive.
Which is so crazy because it'd been around in circulation forever,
for years,
man.
Right? Well, I remember
like back in the 1800s, it was in tincture. It was in Coca-Cola, which is where it got its name.
My knowledge doesn't go any farther back than Fleetwood Mac. So I know that they did it because I remember reading an article where they were doing the album Tusk.
Okay.
And this is after they'd done Rumors, which was like huge, right? So they're like, at that point, they're not even doing lines. Like the video we were watching, they're doing lines. They just said, bring in bulls.
Yeah.
Like, fuck, no. Dude, this is a true story.
I believe it. There were a lot of
cocaine, and they just go up and blow their freaking nose in it. And they be in a recording studio doing that. And then so much so that, although you're not supposed to get addicted, Stevie did. Stevie Nicks burned a hole.
Yeah.
In her nose. I mean,
it's very common in cocaine addicts.
That's addiction,
right through the septum.
That's addiction. That's like when you're burning a hole through your nose and your brain says, "Oh, there's a hole in your nose."
Keep going.
You'd say, "I need to stop," and your brain says, "But you can't."
Right. That's complete addiction, man. And it's addicting, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, it only becomes addictive after you have been a habitual user for a while. You know, it's not dangerous like crack. It's not dangerous like heroin, where you could take one hit and you're.
Well, doesn't it like? Hooked. Yeah. Doesn't it? But doesn't it mess with your heart?
Oh yeah, man. It's shit. I'm forgetting another term, but yeah, it increases the heart rate tremendously. It's a stimulant. That's what I was trying to think of. Which is why you're up and moving.
Yeah.
You know? But that heart's gonna. That's what happened to John Belushi, man.
Yeah, so let me ask you this. So we were talking about Just Say No, the Just Say No era.
Right.
We went through it. It was crazy. It worked for me. I never did it, but I just think I had other interest in that.
Same here.
I look around today, man, and Like my son has to take Adderall to get through school because he has the ADHD, and it's legit, man. We've taken him everywhere. He's studied. He has a problem, and we've had him on it. Well, now he can't get it. Like I don't know if you've heard about this, but he can't get his So I'm calling the doctors, calling the pharmacy.
Is there like a shortage, or
yeah? There's a freaking shortage now. So since 2020, right? Like it was like at 10%. 10% of our population was doing Adderall, and during COVID, it went up to 17%, which I don't know much about that, but that sounds like a lot.
That's
and
huge.
They made it sound like a lot.
That's huge,
yeah.
man.
Huge, right? Yeah. So now we can't get it. Now, here's what my doctor said. Said during the pandemic, everybody was staying at home, and they were like, I can't focus. I can't concentrate. So the doctors they were getting in line, which is crazy because we have to go in literally every 3 months and get him checked out. And if he doesn't, he can't have it. And he's been, legit diagnosed with this. But now my son can't get the drugs that help him in school to get through it because adults are doing it, which is basically a speed to anybody else. Like for him, it doesn't affect him at all. Like he just helps him focus. But for most people, I heard it's like a speed. My question is do you think as a society, I guess, okay, so my question would be then like, well, I think if we have obviously a speed, if Adderall's speed, then we have a speed addiction because we can't get our hands on enough speed because everyone's got it now. And I know for a fact, like I was just on vacation. I was talking to some groups of people that were with us and I was like, dude, everybody's on it. Oh, I'm doing 30 milligrams, 20 milligrams. But my question is to you, do you think that we have a drug problem today? I mean, that's just one drug, right? But I know everyone's on Xanax. And that's just a pharmaceutical prescribed.
I say yes.
It's the difference, right?
But
Nancy Regan, go on.
I say yes, we have a drug problem, but it stems from other reasons than what we dealt with in the 80s. And primarily it's number one, it's lazy providers, right? Doctors that are too lazy to do the right thing, and that, or they're scared of offending somebody by saying, no, you're just fucking being lazy. Or, you know what? Everybody's restless. It's the pandemic. Of course you are. Suck it the fuck up. Just like nowadays providers, we used to tell people when they were fat, you're overweight. This is going to be detrimental to your health. This is going to cause diabetes, heart disease, blah, 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 blah. But now you can't tell patients that because healthcare is driven on patient satisfaction surveys vice, healthcare. Go figure. So, yeah, I think we do have a drug problem.
But do you think the pharmaceuticals are the doctors are lazy, which I would agree with you. But I'm also going to say that there's an incentive, right? Like the minute you say, hey, man, my freaking left foot falls asleep sometimes and they got a drug for it. They'll be like, oh, I'll give you some of this before you leave, samples. And if you need a prescription, just give me a call. And next thing you know, you could, if you go down that rabbit hole, the time you leave a doctor's office, you could be on 20 pills.
100% it's the pharmaceutical industry as well, man. Big pharma, we could do a whole couple podcasts on big pharma, man. I'm not a big fan.
Let's do it. Let's just fucking go. You know what? Let's just become their biggest enemies. We'll go to town. Then we'll have them say, because don't they go around and spread bad shit? They like go after you, like they do.
Oh yeah,
they go after people.
Yeah,
dude.
Fuck those guys.
Do you think that the drug? So when we were kids, the pharmaceutical companies were in Cadillacs, right? And they freaking the shocks, and
right.
Down. Yeah, and they'd say, you want to buy some drugs, and there'd be a little bag. It wasn't now. I think our drugs come in little bottles with our names on it.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. We've shifted from the illegal narcotics, and now we think it's okay because they're prescribed to us, right? But they're still drugs.
It is drugs, yeah. And if you go down, that's what I say. If you go down that rabbit hole, just because they're saying, like I can't tell you how many times like I've gotten a drug and they'll say, here for relaxation, take 3 a day as needed. I'm like, man, I think I can get by on a half.
Right.
But you say take 3. I think I'm just going to use my own discretion here. Right. But they're like going, do 3, You'll be back sooner.
That's just it, man.
Maybe you'll be dead.
It's money, dude.
Yeah. Dude, and it's obvious. So, I mean, you think that, like, there was a time when our president, our government, our president's wife and her hair were trying to get us off of drugs. And now it seems like we've got a whole other, as long as this guy in the lab coat, white coat, gives you drugs, then
it's okay.
And it's good. As long as he's not, they're not in little baggies. If they're not in little baggies and they're in bottles with your name on it,
then it's okay.
Do it up.
Yeah. So interestingly enough, Portugal decriminalized all drugs in their country. And this was, I think, back in 2001. They decriminalized all of them. And it's been a complete success, man. Addiction's down. Yeah, a lot of this stuff is.
How could addiction be down if you legalize drugs? Again, I'll go back to my fire thing. That's like saying here, gasoline's free, and we're no longer throwing you in jail for burning down houses. Do you think that arson's going to just like, you know what? I don't want to burn anything now.
So a lot of people get into drug use because it's so taboo, right? Mm-hmm. You cannot do this, no matter what. It's illegal. You'll go to jail. Fuck you. I'm gonna do it anyway.
It's rebellious.
Right. And so they take away all of that, right? Addiction rates are down because, I forget the study. I have it up on the other computer. I should have put it on this one, but it's a phenomenal read. I'll have to forward it to you, the article.
So you're saying then that if they legalize everything, there's no, I would think that's incentivizing, saying.
You would think.
Well, I can buy alcohol down the street.
Right.
And but marijuana's not that easily to come by.
It is now.
It is maybe. I mean, you still have to go through the process now. But I guess if I was a kid, let's just say I was a kid coming up today, and I just turned 21, and I can choose between. I think there's more of a chance that if there's drugs, I'm going to try that too. Where I never did because it just wasn't the only way for me to get. Like I said, the only way for me to get drugs is possibly get shot too.
Right. Yeah, I'm the same way, man. It wasn't a thing for me. I had no desire, and I think there's a lot of people out there that are like that. But I will send you that article because it's fascinating, and it's exactly what you think right off the bat. Is how would that would just incentivize? But I'll send it to you because they explain it way better than I do.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy though.
But they didn't legalize it; they just decriminalized it. A huge difference. You could still be busted technically for it, but the cops are like, if you got an ounce of marijuana on you, hey, fucko, bring that shit home or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not worth their time.
Well, that was one of the things that scared me so much. That was one of when people would say to me, "This is before it was legal." Because that's another funny story, right?
Oh yeah,
we went from throwing people in jail for life
for weed.
Yeah, for weed, and now it was an essential business. Yep. Like we think about that. We went from you can't do it, but I like it. But you can't. Dr. Grace singing underground songs about it, and they're like, that's like their gig, and they got the hats with the marijuana leaves on top of it, and they're like, you can't do it though, but we wanna. And then all of a sudden, like, oh no, you could definitely do it, and you should do it because we sell it now. So in bottles.
Back in the 1930s. There was this huge experiment and study done, and they found all of these medicinal purposes for marijuana, legitimate medicinal uses. And Henry Anslinger decided, okay, so here's the deal.
Are you going to tell me this? Is this that
the DEA back then was not the DEA; it was the Federal Bureau of Narcotics. They were going to shut them down, and so he had to come up with a demon, right? And so weed was brought over the border by these filthy Mexicans. And it makes you violent, and they're going to come in, they're going to rape your women and steal all your stuff, blah, 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 blah. There you go. He's got his fucking demon. After they brought him the study.
So the fear thing, which we still do about whatever they want to push to.
He swept that study under the rug because he didn't want to lose his position, right? He didn't want to lose his organization. Fast forward to the 1960s with Richard Nixon. Same thing. They had bipartisan agreement to legalize marijuana because they did another study and they found all the benefits for it. Well, he said, no, we're not going to do that. Weed is the devil. And so basically, fuck all the studies, right? It comes down to whoever's in office at the time, whatever their personal feelings are on, we'll just use marijuana as this example. So if you personally are against it, even though you've got all the proof in front of you that is actually a good thing, you've been brought up in this lifestyle to say, no, it's bad your whole life. So now you're going to continue that. And because you're in power, it sticks.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, and of course, this isn't, I'm not, I guess, promoting weed, but I'm just pointing this out because that's how the government works, man. You know, it doesn't matter. It's who's got the power.
But we're talking weed. What if we're talking like what I said, Adderall, which is essentially speed? They just put a different name on it, and they told you, hey, it's good for this if you can't focus, and we'll put you on that. Now, that's a good thing.
Sure.
And they'll say, well, studies say that you can focus a lot better if you're on Adderall, parentheses, speed, right? So what's next? Like, isn't that kind of a form of cocaine? It's an upper, right?
Again, it works for individuals that have a legitimate diagnosable condition. The problem is the abusers, right?
Mm-hmm.
It'd be
what
like,
do you think Nancy Regan and her hair would think about all this today?
Well, I think she'd be way too high from all the Aquanet to really fucking care.
You think it was Aquanet?
Oh, guaranteed, man.
A lot of
in the 80s? Yeah. Oh, yeah, man. Yeah. Who didn't have Aquanet? I mean, I had hair back then, and I had Aquanet.
I think they had like a van that like brought it in.
It was like this can. It was pink, and it had like fishnet stockings on it. It said Aquanet.
What did Reagan like? He liked the cowboy boots, and like, these are his boots, and then the rest of it's.
He was jelly beans, man.
Yeah.
That was, every president has their thing. His was jelly beans.
Was it jelly beans?
His was jelly beans. Carter was peanuts.
How the fuck did we always get off on these little things and just start shooting up?
Because my brain fucking just.
We both do it. Next thing you know, we're talking. Now we're talking about marijuana today.
Right.
And we just skipped.
Just say
decades. No. Just say no. I agree with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that we're in a new. That's kind of where I was going with that and asking your take on it, because you do it. You like to tinker with that.
So yeah, I
think it works for you.
I know for a fact it works for me. I tried it out of desperation, man. I think I told you this. I was on 3-4 different psych meds. I didn't like the way they made me feel. Really dulled me. I was not the same person. And I'd started doing a lot of research to find out, hey, there's got to be something out there that's not pharmaceutically related that I can feel better on,
And that did it.
It did. But, I take it at night before I go to bed. And so I haven't had a nightmare.
Too, because you said I was up all night last.
Well, there's some nights.
Like, I can't do the cast tonight. I haven't had an ounce of sleep.
I have a lot of medical issues that keep me. But anyway.
Yeah, well, neither here nor there.
My point is that it's definitely helped me. It's reduced my anxiety. I haven't had a nightmare since, and I have PTSD, which is the reason why.
Yeah, and it helps you with that, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, shit. Again, it was a last resort for me, and it's not like I'm up smoking and toking all day long every single day. I take it at night. Most of the times, I don't even feel the effect before I go to sleep. It just helps me. Puts me in a much easier space.
Yeah, what's really interesting to me is so when I was growing up, obviously my parents didn't do it. I didn't see it a whole lot. I was, I guess, pretty naive about it because I knew I watched Friday the 13th and stuff like that, and they'd always be like smoking and
right.
And I just there they go again, Right. But there's some boobies. They show boobies.
Yeah, boobies are great.
Some boobies. I like boobies. The obligatory boobies. So I always, I thought you gotta take the bad with the good, I guess.
That's right.
But I was always, I go back and I watch a lot of older things. I like that. I think the TV was better then. I think it's been way better than.
Oh yeah.
We'll cover that at one of these podcasts. But
it's garbage nowadays.
It's garbage. But I'll go back and watch. Go, man, that shit was really everywhere. And something else, dude, because we've talked about this. I loved Cheech and Chong. And I thought they were so funny, but I think I missed all of the marijuana talk. I think it went completely over my head, and I was just reading the jokes between. I don't think I got it, or maybe I didn't want to.
So I have to admit, same thing. I thought they were funny back then and everything. I went back and watched them again.
Not as funny.
No, I got high. Oh my God.
Funny.
Oh my God.
Really?
Oh my God,
Yeah.
dude. Way better.
So is it because of your high or is it because you understood because you're a freaking dopehead now?
Might be a little bit of both. I don't know.
Oh, man.
That's funny, man.
Freaking stoners.
I had a lot of.
To go back and watch Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Freaking
Oh
Spicoli.
yeah. Oh yeah.
That is a good show.
So wait a minute, Mr. Hand.
Yeah.
If it's your time
And
it's my
and
time.
If anybody thinks that marijuana can't save your life and make you do great things, Sean Penn is single-handedly saving our world. I mean, he's in the Ukraine. I think he's fighting for peace. You know,
He's
I
a
seen the
fucking moron.
I seen the thing the other day, dude. He fucking had. I'm getting off topic, kind of, but he was the drug guy of the Spicoli, right?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
ultimate drug dude.
Yeah. So, who are you talking about again?
Sean Penn.
Who?
Sean Spicoli.
That dude hadn't been relevant in fucking
He's
decades,
one of
man.
the- He thinks he is.
He thinks he is.
I
His
watched him.
daughter.
You know what he said the other day? He said on the thing, he was on some show and he said, this is weird because I remember growing up and all the people be like, you know, we need to stop the war. And it was a Vietnam and then no one wanted to go to war. And everybody be like, let's just end the war. Let's just make love, not war. And then Sean Penn was on a video the other day saying, Ukraine needs more weapons, but for war.
It's funny how the agendas flip flop so much,
crazy.
you know?
You can't even. You were saying earlier you can't make this shit. You can't make that shit up. It's a whole. These guys.
It's pathetic, is what it is.
Do you remember Hanoi Jane?
Oh,
going
yeah.
up there, and she was like, "America's bad and anti-stop
Oh,
the
yeah.
war, and they're just invading these people." And now they're just like invade the shit, invade everybody,
Right.
anybody that we don't, you know. And but anyhow, I thought it was interesting that Sean Penn was asking for more. They need more weapons. They need more weapons to kill people with. Not that I'm this peace guy or anything like that, but it's really.
No, I get what you're saying. Yeah, he is just the double standards and the hypocrisies. It's just mind boggling.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It's almost like forget what I said back then, right? Because I was just kidding. Now I need to focus on this.
Forget that I was Spicoli.
Right.
Now I'm going to try to not even stop a war. I'm going to try to keep this thing going.
There's an agenda behind it that I just don't understand, man.
So what? Think about that. And for those that are listening and haven't seen this video, Google it, get on YouTube, look it up. He comes on and he says basically they need more, you know, in this weird Hollywood. Well, they need more weapons, and they just need more weapons. And basically what you're saying is they need more weapons to fight longer war and kill people. Instead of coming out and saying, "Hey, man, what we need is to get everybody to sit down and talk negotiations." That's what they would have said when we were growing up.
Exactly.
Those stars, Cher and
they
whoever.
still say it when we got involved.
They don't want
in all of our
negotiations. I don't hear
conflicts.
any of these stars say, "Hey, let's get some negotiations." What they're saying is send more weapons. We need the Ukrainians to be able. We don't want them to sit down and talk this out.
It's baffling, man, to think about it. Because is it because of Russia? Is it Russia that's invading? Is the why they're saying this now? Because
I don't know when that switch came.
I don't know either.
All I know is that Spicoli is involved.
For the record, I think Sean Penn is a fucking moron.
Yeah,
100%.
You know, we're talking Fast Times at Ridgemont High. He's a fucking idiot. He's a complete idiot. He's a tool. This is the same guy that was hanging out with remember the El Chapo thing?
Oh, yeah.
That's mind-boggling. Because
Right.
I don't know shit about it, but I remember going, he was what? Because I stopped. I think I was walking, and I stopped, and I looked at the TV, and I went, he was meeting with a drug dealer. He was going to get, this guy's like murdered how many people? I don't know. I'm assuming he murdered some people.
If not directly, then certainly indirectly.
I'm sure he's got some stock and some chainsaws somewhere.
But why? You know what, dude? If you want to be a politician, go into politics. But you're not even an actor anymore. You're a washed up has-been at best who played dumbass fucking characters. But now we're supposed to think you're some kind of expert on fucking foreign policy?
Yeah, dude, what do you think? Man, we're just fucking rolling now. We're just going off. But what do you think? Do you think that they're in this echo chamber down there? And we're going to cover this one of these days. But do you think they're in an echo chamber and they just have no...
In Hollywood?
They just hear... Like if you and I, let's just say that we like them... We're serial killers. And and we just hang out in the closet, and we've just become
Wait a
we're
minute.
locked in the closet together. And we also are gay. We're gay serial killers.
Okay.
We're locked in and just going.
But are we
this is
fabulous?
going really, we're fabulous gay guys.
Okay, all right.
Serial killers. No, but we're stuck in this room, and as far as we know, everybody kills people.
Right.
Well, you kill people, I do too, and we just start. Well, how many do you kill? Well, I'll bet everyone's doing it. Do you think that that's what happens? You think they're in Hollywood and they're going, oh, I'm totally down with this and I'm down with that, and then they think that the entire world.
I think they're
like that?
definitely in their own world, and I don't think that they think the whole world thinks.
Look at
that
Echo
way.
Chamber, right? Where they're just
Totally. But what I feel is that what their beliefs are, whatever they are, whatever my beliefs are, if you don't have that same beliefs, then you're an evil person and you're wrong. Period. And that to me is not conducive to, I don't know, good living. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what? You've got a different opinion. Doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you wrong. What if I'm wrong?
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, I agree. I think they're in a huge echo chamber, and the elites live among themselves, or the Hollywood elites, I guess I'll say, and they don't live in the same world that everybody else does, man. They're so far removed from reality that it's comical. It would be comical if it wasn't so sad.
You know, I need you to go back and edit out that whole 2 gay serial killers stuck in a closet.
Oh, fuck no.
How do I get
That's gold, man. Right? That's gold.
Like my freaking subconscious.
That's going to be like the tagline for the show.
Wasn't Dahmer a gay serial killer?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So was, I don't remember his name, the black dude from Atlanta.
Wayne. We covered this.
Yeah, Wayne something or other.
Yeah, we covered that
one. That guy.
Yeah, I don't know. But I look at everything now and I see, like, you know, what we grew up with. And Spicoli was funny to us. He's funny to me now. He's still fucking funny to me.
Well, I appreciate it for what it was.
Yeah.
Just an actor. That's your job, entertain us. Shut the fuck up with everything else.
Let me ask you this, back to Sean Penn. Do you think that there's an overcompensation because he, in his mind, knows that he played the dude that ordered the pizza, that came to the high school classroom? Do you think there's an overcompensation to make up for that today? So now he's on TV.
I think
he's going to make up for that.
I think you're giving away too much credit.
Yeah. He just wants.
I think it's just a moron.
You know, like.
Well, it's narcissism, man, at its finest.
You know, and this brings me. I'm just going off today. This brings me to Harrison Ford.
Wow. Okay.
So I got a recommendation, and we can talk about this some podcast, but there's a show on Apple TV called Shrinking. Okay. And it's got the dude, I don't even know his name. I don't know any of them, but I know that Harrison Ford's in it.
Okay.
And I started watching it because Han Solo, Indiana Jones, he's a fucking classic, right?
Right.
Like, you don't get two better roles than that. So I assume this has got to be good, and he's got to be great in it.
You would think.
Although I've seen some shit.
How about Blade Runner, though? He was really good in Blade Runner.
Great in Blade Runner,
yeah.
Right? I mean, there's a lot of classics. There's on and on. So 2 things. If you want a great laugh at Harrison Ford's expense, watch Shrinking.
Okay.
If you want to look back and realize that Indiana Jones and Han Solo are dead, fucking watch Shrinking. Because dude, I look at my wife and she'll go, I'll just make fun of it, and she'll go, well, we don't need to watch this anymore. And I said, I have to watch this. This is like watching a transition.
Is it like almost like therapy for you?
I can't even do it justice, because here's what I'm thinking. You're fucking Han Solo.
Right.
You're Indiana Jones.
So what is his role in this show?
You have to watch it.
Okay.
It's like a psychologist, but it's insane. Because I know him as Indiana Jones and Harrison Ford, and on screen this is not. I mean, it's like fucking Kenny Rogers with his facelift. It's like not. Even, and I'm thinking. Well, here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, how do you get Harrison Ford on this show? It's Han Solo. Right.
Money.
Right. What does he get? I heard the other day Kevin Costner's getting $1 million an episode for
Jesus.
Well, then Harrison Ford should be getting 3. Indiana Jones and Han Solo. He should be getting $3 million an episode. But watch it, and there's no fucking way. There's no fucking way he's getting more than freaking $500,000 an episode for this show, because there's no way they have the budget.
So I'm not quite sure I truly understand how you feel about this.
Well, I'm gonna wait to the end of the season, and I'll let you know more.
Okay.
I can tell you this: I have deduced.
Well, maybe.
I have deduced that. And then, oh God, don't even get me started on the new Indiana Jones coming out because I don't even want to see this.
We
fucking
won't because we
trailer.
don't have time to get into that.
Wow.
But anyway, you've deduced.
I have deduced. But anyhow, watch Shrinking. Go back, watch Fast Times at Ridgemont High with Sean Penn to Just Say No Era and realize that he is ambassador for the United States-Ukraine war today.
In his own mind.
And yeah, he's
He
gonna.
doesn't represent me at all.
Yeah, and then and
What?
I'm gonna check out the Punky Brewster episodes because I think he could pull all that shit up, right?
Yeah. What about if, okay, maybe he's not getting paid a lot for this, but what if it's somebody he knows and it's a project that they start? He's like, I'll throw
You
you
think
both.
Eric support?
I'll help you out.
I think here's what I think happened. I think someone abducted one of his kids and they got him locked up somewhere in an underground freaking cave.
Well, his kids have got to be
Yeah,
like fucking our
well,
age.
they got something on him. They got some pictures.
Oh, maybe.
They've got something.
Maybe.
And they said, because it just doesn't add up. Maybe I'm overreacting because I love those freaking movies so much. I love Indiana Jones, man. That was like, when I seen that movie, I went home. I got home that night and I went and got an extension cord, cut my dad's extension cord in half and went around whipping shit. And now I'm watching a guy that looks like a former version of, I wouldn't even, I mean, if you locked me up for 30 years and showed me this, I'd go, who's that? And they said, that's Indiana Jones. I said, nah, that's not.
Is it kind of like the Bruce Springsteen looking like Woody Harrelson?
It's nothing like that. It's,
No?
I mean, maybe I'm looking into it too much. Those of you that love Indiana Jones and you love Han Solo, epic characters. And then you go watch whatever this is. And then you think that like the people that are starring, I don't even know who they are. I mean, I literally don't even know who they are.
Which that makes me wonder, you know, hey, is he helping somebody out? You know what I mean? Put a big name in this little bitty production, see if it'll get some
then
traction.
You gotta watch it. And you gotta think, even if he was helping someone out,
is it bad?
he accepted the role that I think is fucking terrible. Again, if you want to put this shit to rest and you want to say Indiana Jones is dead, you know, a lot of people say, don't do the remakes. And after the last one, it was terrible, right? And they're like, just stop. I think if you go watch this, for me, he died in, when was the last Crusade? 89? By the way, go watch The Last Crusade. Fuck Shrinking. Don't watch Shrinking. Go watch Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade. Me and the wife watched that a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
Still holds up. I think it's like the second time in a year. I gotta love that show. But again, I'm watching it and he says something and I look at my wife and I go, Shrinking! You know, like.
I'm going to watch, not Shrinking, but I am going to go back and watch some of the Indiana Jones movies for sure.
Oh, they're so good.
They are.
And another thing that I want to do eventually, now that I'm just rolling and we're off of, are we on another podcast?
We're gonna come back. I'm just waiting for you to shut up long enough so I can bring us back to there.
I'll be done, man. I'll be done. Go ahead. I was gonna say, we just real quick. I love James Bond. I started reading the books. You know, I've never read the books. I'm reading them. We talked about this before the show. I don't think they're anything like. So if you like James Bond, I think you could read the books, and you might get another 20 versions of James Bond too.
Yeah.
But I love those. I can go back and watch those, and you should watch those. But we got some other ideas.
Yes.
I think we should look at that, but we'll talk about that
For
later.
sure.
But I'm going to stop now and let you take over and let you close this up. Because, you know, I'm angry now.
I can tell. I can tell. Anyway, getting back to D.A.R.E. and good old Nancy. They came out and it was under Obama. William Sessions came out and was in a presentation. It wasn't a press briefing or anything, but it was some type of speech he was giving or something. And he basically admitted to the fact that D.A.R.E., although it was a colossal failure in just about every way that you could come up with, all the research, all the inspector generals that did their investigations into it, all concluded that it was colossal failure. He admits that it was a colossal failure, but says, even though we have this data, I still believe the program works. Well, you're a fucking retard. That's all I got to say about that. So
This was the marijuana thing.
no, this was the D.A.R.E.
the
program.
D.A.R.E., okay.
The D.A.R.E. program. It was colossally unsuccessful because, well, that was definitely you could call that a fleecing of America, really, because of all the taxpayer money that was taken from that, put into that program. And it wasn't all used for that program.
Mhm.
But then you got one of our top politicians that says, yeah, I know the data says it's a horrible program and it doesn't work. It's ineffective, but I still believe it works. So we're going to continue it.
Is that so they could get tax money thing?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It's all about the money, man.
Speaking of taxes, I did my taxes, started working on them, and I found out going through everything that I'm going to end up owing Ukraine another $6,000.
I saw that. We all are, as a matter of fact. All right, well, let's wrap this shit show up.
Yeah.
We went from don't do drugs, just say no to fucking Harrison Ford all in one show.
Well,
Outstanding.
It sounds like I got off on topic, but what I was kind of going at is Harrison Ford's probably on
Drugs.
drugs.
And he should have just said no.
And he should have said no.
All right, well, let's wrap it up. Harrison, say no, you fuck. All right, guys, we will catch you guys next week. Perfect timing.
This was a good time.
Yeah.
I had fun with this one.
Yeah. We'll catch you next show when the topic will be, you'll find out then. All right, guys, anything, last words?
You really want me to start at the
No.
back up? Okay.
All right, guys, we'll see you next time. Peace.